Hey, good morning, everybody. Here we are. Here we are Thursday morning. We have this great opportunity, this blessing that we have to get into God's Word for just a few moments and get the best dose of medicine to get our day kicked off. This morning, I want to look at a statement the Apostle Paul made over in 2 Corinthians chapter 3. He's talking about the old law, about the Ten Commandments, those things that are written on stone. It was a ministry of death. I mean, it couldn't save anybody. You can keep them with every breath, but it's still not going to save you. And he goes on and he talks about how people cannot see the truth. And that's kind of what I want to focus in on for just a few moments this morning in 2 Corinthians chapter 3 and in verse 14 and 15. Primarily, but the whole context is dealing with folks not being able to see the truth in the gospel and holding on to the old law and so on and so forth. But there's a principle within this that is just as relevant today as it was when Paul wrote these words. He says in 2 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 14, he says, but their minds, now he's talking about the Jews, religious people, were blinded. For until this day, the same veil remains unlifted in the reading of the Old Testament, because the veil is taken away in Christ. But even to this day, when Moses is read, a veil lies on their heart. Now, I don't want to talk about the Old Testament and those times. That's not the point that I want to tell you. But Paul is putting forth a principle here, and that's what I want to focus in on this morning. Is here he says in verse 4. Here's these religious people. They're reading their Bibles. They're listening to their Bibles. They're going to the assembly in the synagogue, and some of them in the temple, and so on and so forth. And they're hearing the scriptures read. But there's a problem. There's something that they're missing, and there's something that these teachers and those that are reading the Old Testament that are missing. He says there's a veil that's over their face, meaning that the spiritual veil is over their spiritual eyes, and that whenever the word is read, they can't see. Now, what we find here is a very relative issue and struggle and problem in the religious world today. Is that here these people, they were hearing what was read, and many times they were missing the very point that Moses was saying. They were missing the things that Moses was saying and the prophets about the things concerning Christ. Why? Because they had their minds already made up. Those scriptures that were read, they already determined and they had been taught this is what it means, and missing the whole point entirely. And that's what we have a problem with in the religious world today. So many are taught certain things. They go to Bible colleges, they go to seminaries, they take these online courses. And many times you get them pieces of paper because simply you've given the answer that they want to get back, whether it's right or wrong. If you give them the answer that they're looking for, you'll get that piece of paper. It may be, biblically, it very well could be, and is many times, the wrong answer. But, that's what we're talking about here, is being taught, holding people in such high regard that whatever comes out of their mouth, it's right. People, those Joyce Meyer and T.D. Jakes and the Graham family, and Joel Osteen and all the guys, whatever comes out of their mouth, it's God ordained, it's right from heaven, it's the absolute truth. Well, if you start getting in your Bible, you'll find out many things they teach do not line up. They're teaching what they perceive to be true and missing the entire point, the entire consistency of the scriptures. That's what Paul's talking about here. That's the point. Is that they've got their minds so made up on what a passage means that it's not possible to see what it really means. For example, maybe the topic of baptism. People have got this veil over their face when it comes to baptism that they can't see what's really being taught by Jesus and the apostles and the New Testament writers about the subject, because they've got this veil in their mind it can't possibly mean that because I've been taught this way and this is the way that I've been taught. Or maybe worship in the New Testament, or maybe it's the name of the church, the structure of the church. What, you just pick your topic. It doesn't make any difference. You see, Paul is telling these folks here, even in verse 15, but even to this day when Moses is read, a veil lies on their heart. We can be these people. This passage is not outdated of its being applicable to us. It's just as relevant today. And that could be you. It could be me. And we need to really understand that. If we come across something, we hear something that doesn't really kind of line up with what we believe, maybe we need to step back and say, I had a good brother down in Louisiana tell me one time. He said, George, maybe you just need to study on that some more. Now, I've never forgot that, and how true that is. And oftentimes when you go back and you really roll up your sleeves and study on something a little bit more, yeah, you're probably going to see how you're missing the mark to some degree. But let us not be like these people, what Paul's talking about here. They are so blinded. They've got their minds so cemented and so made up that they're right about how they're using the scriptures. It's practically impossible for them to see what the scriptures are really teaching on the things concerning Christ, and for us, concerning things concerning the New Testament. And so I think this is a great passage, and it's so applicable to you and I today. Let us not be these people. Let us not have our minds so made up because of we've been taught by someone we hold in high regard. Our regard for someone isn't the determining factor of truth. If they're speaking false doctrine, it's still false doctrine, whether I like them or admire them or hold them in high regard or not. That's not the determining factor. The Bible is. And so we've got to be very careful. We can be these people. We can read passages like this. So how could those people do that? How could they miss the mark? So do we. So do we. Why? Because we're not willing to see anything or understand anything outside of what we believe. That's these folks here. I'm going to leave you with that. There's your dose of God's Word today. I hope it will get your wheels turning. And I encourage you, go back and look at this passage. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 14 and 15. And those are contained within a larger context. And meditate on these. Study these things. Pray about these things that God will give you understanding and wisdom. And look at the consistency of Scripture. And so I hope it'll do you some good. Lord willing, we'll get back tomorrow. We'll get another dose of God's Word. Wind our week up on Friday. And until then, get in your Word. Study it honestly and reverently. And I hope you all have a great day. And we'll see you tomorrow.